Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your July 2020 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description of the video for more details there. As far as what's in front of us, this is why I call it a bridge and the gap spread, and the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. These are the past energies, present energies, future energies. And once we get through all those, we'll actually pull some oracle cards to gain some additional insight. That's where the bridge and the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, and on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Now keep in mind also, it's just a general reading, so I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left side as your energy, but if you feel more like the cards on the right side represent your energy, then definitely trust that. Alright, so getting started with the past energy. On your side, we have the 10 of coins. So this is actually Virgo energy here, and this could be saying one of two things, really. From one, it could be saying that maybe you guys saw a lot of potential with this connection, meaning that you just saw a lot of fertility, a lot of room for growth within the connection. But another way this could be leaning for some of you as well could just be saying that you might not have been given much energy to the connection because you were more focused on building up your finances at the time. Maybe even a combination of the two, where you saw the potential, but you might have just been focused on finances, so you might have just put it off to the side for the time being. Past energy on their side, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So interesting enough, this is more Virgo energy here, so maybe some of you dealing with the Virgo, but what this could also be saying, though, is maybe you felt like what they offered wasn't enough. So maybe this is more of a vision you had where, you're like, okay, I'm looking for my 10 of Pentacles situation. And then, you might have felt that what they offered you might not have been enough. Because we could see, looks like he's trying to extend the rose to her. And she looks fairly disinterested, So, you guys could have even been sharing the same space like they are here, but, so maybe you just had higher expectations than what they were offering at the time. In the present position, you had a few cards come up. We have the 7 of Arrows, Contemplation, which is actually Virgo energy again, so some of you could definitely be dealing with a Virgo or have a prominent Virgo placement in your chart. And the Ace of Staves. So, interesting energies here. What this could be saying is for some of you, you might have just checked out of the relationship in some way, which we can see with that artwork there, so that would kind of align with that. But if that's the case, I feel like you're not necessarily expressing what your issues are. The reason I say that is with the 2 arrows there, to me they represent the stability of the connection, right? So one represents you, one represents the other person, and then you have these 5 arrows, which to me in this case, sometimes I see it as like an infidelity situation, but I'm not really seeing that here. I see it more of like these are your gripes within the connection, but you're not necessarily expressing them. We could look at the facial expressions she has there. She doesn't necessarily look too happy either. So it could just be one of those things where you're not speaking up. Maybe you're considering, hey, do I even still want to be in this connection or not? But you're not just actually communicating with this person. And then with that Ace of Staves in that regard, it could just be saying, maybe you're thinking of just starting anew elsewhere. For some of you, it could be the other way around, where this could just be saying that, maybe in the past you might have declined this person's offer. So maybe you're currently in a connection with a new person, but maybe you're thinking of, hey, maybe, I might have overlooked this person in the past. Maybe I should go back and try to start something up with them. So could be either of those scenarios, but hopefully that resonated. And present energy on their side, we see the 3 of Chalices. So this is actually Cancer energy here, represents the middle 10 degrees, which is pretty much representative of the first 10 degrees of July, give or take a day or two on either side. So pretty good to see this come up in the present position. But this could just be saying that this is how they view the connection. I view this as a connection that, again, they see the potential for that long-term stability, a lot of passion, a lot of attraction. The egg in the card there to me represents fertility as well. So again, we have that same vibration. So I feel like they, at the very least, it seems like they're a lot more sure of the connection than you have been up to this point. Where, like I said, it looks like you might have been distracted in some way. But that's what I'm seeing there, and there might be some communication around that as well. And in the future position on your side, we have love and awakening. So this is actually the equivalent of the Lover's card in traditional tarot, which is Gemini energy. And awakening is actually the equivalent of the sun. So these two cards together could just be pointing to, especially given that you guys still have Venus in Gemini, and it'll be there through the rest of February. Wow, where'd that come from? July. You'll have Venus in Gemini, so it just turned direct, basically. So it could just be saying that now maybe you've gone through that reevaluation period as Venus was retrograde in Gemini. Now that it's moving forward, and especially as we get closer to Leo season, because the sun energy here can represent Leo season, Venus will finally be out of its shadow in Gemini as well. So this could just be saying that, this was maybe just a reevaluation process you went through, because especially because that retrograde took place in your second house, there might have been a lot of that back and forth around, okay, yes, maybe I'd like to pursue a relationship, but I want to make sure my finances are in order, right? So there could have been a bit of upheaval in that area of life for you guys too, so that might have just shifted your focus. Because that Aquarius energy too could just point to maybe you guys had a heavy focus on your career or some concerns around your career life that might have been taking away from the connection as well. And maybe now that that's, with Venus gaining momentum in your second house, maybe you're starting to see improvement there, and that could actually bring the connection back together. And for others of you, this is just coming to a realization that, who you want to be with and actually taking that action toward them. All right, and the future energy on their side is the Nine of Wands. So it's interesting. This seems like a bit of a guarded energy here. So it could just be one of those things where, like I said, if your focus was taken away from this connection for a while, and now let's say you come back in with, if nothing else, that's a lot of passionate energy too, the Lovers and the Awakening, which is the Sun. So if you, come back in all of a sudden with this more romantic, playful energy, it might just throw them for a loop. So, they might be like, okay, where did that come from all of a sudden, So, and like I said, it would make sense as far as you had that Venus retrograde, which impacted you since that's your ruler, and now we have Mercury retrograde as we speak, and that's in your third house of communication too. So, there could be some reevaluation, reaching out to people. So, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. It could just be saying that, they just might be taken aback a bit by the fact that you come toward them in that way. But obviously it looks like it is something that they've wanted. All right, and bottom of the deck on your side, we have the Three of Coins. So this is actually Capricorn energy here, and we're going to have that full moon eclipse in Capricorn. It's pretty much going to be that final eclipse in Capricorn for around 9 years or so. So definitely some significance there. Could just be, again, where you're going through a shift where maybe that is something where you're like, okay, maybe I've been focusing a little too heavily on finances, and maybe you've even had some success there, but now you're coming to that realization, well, now I'd like to work toward my, love life in that regard, especially since we see our lone there, whereas in the traditional tarot, we see, it looks like two people and then a third person working on the actual project for them. So could definitely be pointing to that. And the bottom of the deck on their side, we have the Lovers. So, you guys have that in the future on your side, and we see it at the bottom of the deck on theirs. And this could just represent a timing thing as well, because if we look at the artwork, looks like that Cupid figure is aiming the arrow at one person. So even if they had maybe two people that they were considering, looks like they might just be narrowing down their options as well. But yeah, This could just be an indicator that now that things are moving direct as far as Venus moving through Gemini. Maybe that's just going to get things back on track with you and your person. All right. So moving on to the Oracle cards. First, we'll see if we get anything from the Mystic Moon Oracle deck here. And I did pre-shuffle this deck, and all I'm looking for here is some jumpers. So first I'll be looking for any unspoken messages from you to them, and then after that we'll be looking for any from them to you. And if I shuffle for a while and none come up, I just take that as a sign to move on to the next Oracle deck, since it's just a general reading. Alright, so let's see if we get anything. Like I said, first we'll be looking for unspoken messages from you to them. Alright, nothing coming up there, so we'll see if we get anything from them to you next. Alright, nothing yet, but I'll give it a few more shuffles before I move on. Okay, nothing there, so next we'll move on to the Wisdom of the Oracle deck and see if we get anything here. Same situation, I pre-shuffled this deck, but I'm just looking for one card, then we'll wrap up. Oop, actually got one, but it fell, so give me a second to pick that up, and we'll see what it is. Okay, so you guys got time for a nap, but actually fell out sideways too, so normally if it comes up in reverse you read the protection message. So since it came out sideways, I'll read the regular messages for you guys and also the protection message, just in case some of you need to hear that, but we'll see what it says. Okay, it says rest, rejuvenation, and renewal, temporary non-action, allowing dreams to arise. The Oracle's message: this is the time to step away and rest. Let the cares of your world go. Go into a state of non-action and allow yourself to be free of the shackles of your goals, your list, your desires. Nothing is as important as rest, detachment, and neutrality. The overly busy mind can block you from inner wisdom if you don't step back, take a seat, and rest. Be willing to let dreams surface and ideas flow through you, absent any force or conscious direction, as you observe without engagement now. So definitely an interesting message there, especially for those of you where I was picking up on that maybe some of you have been just very focused on finances, and like I said, maybe there's a little bit of upheaval in that area of your life. You know, like I'm saying, now that we do have Venus finally moving direct again, you might start to feel that pressure alleviate naturally as well. So hopefully that resonates with you guys. And then the relationship message says, when it comes to matters of the heart, don't make any plans right now. If you're not partnered, it's good to take this time out to get to know yourself. If you're involved with someone, relax and just be with your partner. This is going to be an uneventful moment in time. Don't force anything now. Allow things to flow naturally, and a beautiful renewal will take place all by itself. Patience is the key to your heart's desire right now. Withdraw from action in your relationship and give it a rest so that your love and connection can become rejuvenated. So, definitely an interesting message there as far as it sounds like it's saying, not maybe this just isn't the right time to take action. And maybe even with that lovers and awakening in the future position, that could just be another indicator. Like I said, even though Venus is direct now, it's going to be moving through the post shadow period until around the time that we get into Leo season. So that could just be saying that finally, when we get into Leo season, that dust might finally lift for you guys, and you could really get that forward movement. So hopefully that resonated with you. And like I said, I would read the protection message since it was coming out sideways. So maybe this will resonate for some of you as well. It says, "You are a human being, not a human doing. Is it possible you're suffering from workaholism? Could you be the one who thinks it's your job to save everyone, to be there for everyone, and to go, go, go until you can barely see straight? You've gone as far as you can. You've worked hard and nourished people and projects, but now you are an empty well and have no reserve for others or for yourself. Don't let your ego keep you going full speed when your body and spirit need rest. Exhaustion is calling you to stop what you're doing altogether and take a break. If you don't, the appearance of this card could portend a possible illness that stems from being totally overwhelmed. You will feel like a new person if you take that break. Do it now." So definitely an interesting message there, especially, like I said, for those of you where this was one of those things where it was just a matter of you were just so caught up in finances and your career that you might have just been neglecting your relationship. So hopefully that resonated with you guys as well. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.